The envelope felt heavy in my hands, heavier than paper had any right to be. My graduation cap was still perched awkwardly on my head as I stood in our living room, surrounded by deflating balloons and half-eaten cake. I'd waited 18 years for this moment, dreaming of the college acceptance letters I'd already received and the future they promised. My name is Noelle, and that was the day everything changed. "Go ahead, open it!" Mom's voice had that artificial cheer she used when hosting dinner parties. Dad stood beside her, arms crossed, jaw set in that familiar, stern expression. Inside was a card with a generic "Congratulations, graduate" message. No check, no mention of my college fund. My stomach dropped. "I don't understand," I said, looking between them. "Where's the—" "Honey, we need to talk," Mom cut in, gesturing toward the couch. "There's been a situation." I sat, still clutching the empty card. The vinyl cushions squeaked beneath me, a sound that would forever remind me of this moment. "Your college fund," Dad began, clearing his throat. "We had to use it. There was a family emergency." "Emergency?" My voice cracked. "What emergency?" They exchanged glances, the kind parents share when they're choosing their words carefully. "It's complicated," Mom said, "but we want you to know how proud we are. You're so resourceful, Noelle. We know you'll figure something out." "Community college is a perfectly respectable option," Dad added. "Lots of successful people start there." The front door burst open and my sister Charlie bounced in, her designer handbag swinging. "Oh my God, you guys won't believe what Jessica just told me about this amazing apartment downtown." Mom's face lit up. "Sweetie, perfect timing. Tell us everything." I sat there, invisible, as Charlie dominated the conversation with tales of hardwood floors and city views. My parents hung on every word, nodding enthusiastically. "It would be such an amazing investment in my future," Charlie gushed. "The networking opportunities alone." That night, I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., I crept downstairs for water and heard whispers from Dad's study. "The Penthouse will be perfect for Charlie's image," Mom was saying. "Her business school applications will look so much stronger with that address." "It's steep," Dad replied, "but you're right. She needs to project success to be successful, and she's got such potential. Unlike—" Mom's voice dropped even lower, but I heard enough. I stood there, frozen, as 18 years of memories rearranged themselves like puzzle pieces, finally showing the true picture. Every family emergency that canceled my summer camps while Charlie went to Europe. Every budget cut that eliminated my extracurriculars while she got private tennis lessons. The next morning, I smiled through breakfast, nodded when they suggested local colleges, thanked them for the graduation party, but something had shifted inside me. As I researched student loans and job listings, I made myself a promise. I would never need them again. And someday, they'd regret choosing their golden child over me. "You okay?" Haley asked at orientation. We'd just met, but something about her felt trustworthy. "You look like you're plotting revenge or something." I laughed, but it wasn't really funny. "Just thinking about the future." "Well, I'm claiming you as my study buddy," she declared. "Us community college warriors have to stick together." I nodded, grateful for the friendship, but my mind was already racing ahead. Community college would be my starting point, not my destination. I'd work harder than anyone, save every penny, build something they couldn't ignore or dismiss. That evening, I watched Charlie post photos of her apartment hunting adventure on Instagram. The captions were full of heart emojis and blessed hashtags. Mom commented, "So excited for your next chapter." I closed the app and opened my banking one instead. My savings account showed $342.19, everything I'd managed to squirrel away from summer jobs and birthday cards. It wasn't much, but it was mine, and it was a start. I picked up my phone and texted Haley. "Know anyone hiring? I need all the hours I can get." Her response came quickly. "Actually, yes. My cousin's cafe needs morning help. Early AF but decent tips." I typed back, "Perfect. I'm in." Then I opened a new document on my laptop and titled it 5-Year Plan. The cursor blinked at me like a challenge. Game on, I thought. Let's see who's the better investment after all. You look like death warmed over, Haley said, sliding a triple espresso across the library table. 6 months into our new routine, and she'd become my caffeine supplier and voice of reason. Thanks, I mumbled, taking a desperate sip. The morning shift was brutal. Some guy ordered 8 different specialty drinks, then complained about every single one. At least you're getting paid to deal with jerks? Haley pulled out her textbook. Unlike here, where we pay for the privilege. My phone buzzed. Another Instagram notification from Charlie. Living my best life. He blessed just city girl Tucker penthouse views. The photo showed her lounging on a pristine white couch, Manhattan skyline glittering behind her. 3,000 likes already. Don't look at that stuff, Haley warned. But I couldn't help myself. Mom had commented, "My gorgeous girl, so proud of your success." Dad, that's my daughter, making waves in the big city. I need another job, I announced, closing the app. The cafe and the bookstore aren't cutting it. Noelle, you're already working 60 hours a week plus full-time classes. When do you sleep? Sleep is for people who can afford it. I pulled up Indeed on my phone. Look, there's a temp agency downtown hiring for data entry. Flexible hours, decent pay. You're insane, Haley sighed, but she was already reaching for her phone. Let me text my uncle. His company sometimes needs evening office help. The next week, I started at Morton & Associates. That's where I met Jarvis. You're in the wrong chair, he said, making me jump. I'd been half asleep, entering endless spreadsheet data. Sorry, I didn't. That one's got a broken wheel. Here. He rolled over a better chair. I learned the hard way, nearly face-planted during a client meeting. His smile was kind, and for the first time in months, I felt seen. I'm Noelle, I said, switching chairs. Thanks for the rescue. Jarvis. And trust me, I know what it's like trying to stay awake through the night shift. We fell into an easy rhythm after that. He'd bring coffee, I'd share my emergency snack stash. Between data entries, we'd talk about everything and nothing. Meanwhile, my family's social media facade grew more elaborate. Mom posted weekly Family Success Sunday updates, carefully edited to paint her perfect picture. Proud mama moment, both my girls crushing it, Charlie closing deals in Manhattan while Noelle pursues her dreams locally. Blessed over a proud mom. Haley found me crying in the bathroom after that one. They're full of shit, she said, handing me toilet paper to wipe my eyes. I know, I blew my nose. I just wish everyone else knew too. Forget them. How's the secret spreadsheet looking? I pulled out my phone, showing her my savings tracker. Almost enough for the certification program. 3 more months, maybe? And the side project with Jarvis? We're meeting tomorrow to finish the business plan. He thinks... My phone rang. Mom's face filled the screen. Aren't you going to answer? Haley asked. I declined the call. They only call when they want something. Sure enough, a text followed. Noelle, honey, Charlie's having a little cash flow issue with her apartment. Nothing serious, just wondering if you could help out? Family helps family. I showed Haley the message. See? That's rich, she snorted. Literally. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Charlie's Instagram story, a champagne toast in her gleaming kitchen, caption reading, "Thanks Mom and Dad for making dreams come true. Best parents ever." The timestamp was from yesterday. Cash flow issues, huh? Haley said, looking over my shoulder. Something snapped inside me. All these months of exhaustion, of swallowing my pride, of watching them flaunt their favoritism while asking me to bail them out. I opened my photos, scrolling to screenshots I'd been collecting. Bank statements, social media posts, text messages, a digital paper trail of lies and manipulation. Noelle? Haley's voice was concerned. What are you thinking? I'm thinking it's time to stop playing nice. I stood up, straightening my shirt. Want to help me build a PowerPoint presentation? A PowerPoint? For what? I smiled, and it wasn't entirely nice. For when they least expect it. But first, I need to make a few calls. My phone buzzed again. Jarvis this time. Got those investment numbers you wanted. You're not going to believe this. Coming now, I texted back. Should I be worried? Haley called after me as I headed for the door. No, I said, but they should be. I slammed the stack of papers onto our dining room table, making the crystal centerpiece rattle. Explain this. Mom's face went pale as she recognized Charlie's apartment paperwork. Dad's jaw tightened, the same expression he wore when delivering bad quarterly reports. Where did you get those? He demanded. Does it matter? What matters is you lied. There was no family emergency. You took my college fund and bought Charlie a luxury apartment. Now, Noelle, Mom started, using her placating voice, you're not seeing the bigger picture. The bigger picture? I laughed, but it came out harsh. Please enlighten me. Explain how stealing my future was part of some grand plan. Dad stood up, straightening his tie. We made an investment decision. Charlie showed more promise, more drive. Her connections in the city, her business school prospects. These things require a certain lifestyle. And what about my prospects? Oh, honey, Mom sighed. Let's be realistic. You've always been more practical, better suited to a simpler path. The words hit like slaps, each one carefully chosen to diminish, to dismiss. Practical, I repeated. You mean less valuable. That's not what your mother said, Dad snapped. We assessed the situation objectively. Charlie was the better bet. Better bet, my voice cracked. I'm your daughter, not a stock option. And as your parents, we made the best decision for this family's future. Dad's tone was final, the one that usually ended all arguments. Not this time. You want to talk about family decisions? I pulled out my phone, opening the folder of screenshots. Let's talk about Charlie's cash flow issues. The ones you keep asking me to help with? I showed them the champagne toast photo, the designer shopping sprees, the spa weekends. Those are just social media posts, Mom waved dismissively. You know how things look online aren't always. I have the credit card statements too. I swiped to the next screen. Funny how her emergency expenses match perfectly with her Gucci purchases. Dad's face darkened. You had no right to access those records. And you had no right to steal my future. Enough! Mom stood up, hands shaking. Noelle, you're being dramatic. You should be grateful for what you have. Do you know how many people would love to be in your position? My position? I stared at her in disbelief. Working 3 jobs while watching you throw money at Charlie? Your sister has a vision, Dad cut in. A plan. What's your plan, Noelle? Community college and coffee shops? The contempt in his voice made something break inside me. All these years of trying to prove myself, of hoping they'd see me differently. You want to know my plan? I gathered the papers, tucking them back into my bag. Watch and learn. Don't take that tone with us, Mom warned. We're still your parents. No, I said quietly. You're Charlie's parents. I'm just the backup ATM you call when she overspends. You're being ridiculous, Dad scoffed. Everything we've done has been for this family's benefit. Keep telling yourself that. I headed for the door, then turned back. Oh, and don't bother calling about Charlie's next emergency. I'm done funding the golden child's lifestyle. Noelle, Mom called after me. Don't walk away from this family. I paused in the doorway. What family? All I see is a business arrangement gone wrong. The door closed behind me with a satisfying thud. My hands were shaking as I got into my car, but my mind was clear. My phone lit up with texts. Haley. How'd it go? Need backup? Jarvis. Meeting confirmed for tomorrow. Got those projections ready. Mom. We need to talk about your attitude, young lady. Charlie. OMG, why are you being such a drama queen? I ignored them all and drove to the coffee shop where I'd started my first job. Kelly, my old manager, was still there. "The usual?" she asked, already reaching for a cup. "Actually," I said, "I need advice about starting a business." She raised an eyebrow. "What kind of business?" "The kind that makes people regret underestimating you." Kelly smiled, wiping her hands on her apron. "Pull up a chair, kid. I've got some stories you need to hear." As she talked, I opened my notebook to a fresh page. At the top, I wrote 3 words: "No more nice." The rage that had been simmering for months finally had a purpose, a direction, and I was just getting started. "You're insane," Jarvis said, staring at the business proposal I'd laid out. "This could actually work." We were sitting in his tiny apartment, takeout containers scattered around us. 3 months had passed since my confrontation with my parents, and I'd been busy. "The market research is solid," I pointed out. "Plus, Kelly's willing to be our first client." "A coffee shop management app." He shook his head, grinning. "Built by someone who actually worked in coffee shops." "Exactly. Who better to design it than people who've lived the chaos?" My phone buzzed. Another family group text I'd been ignoring. "Mom, Charlie's starting her MBA. Celebration dinner Sunday." "Dad, so proud of our girl taking this next step." "Charlie, can't wait to share my business vision with everyone." "They still don't know what you're up to?" Jarvis asked, watching my face. "Nope. They think I'm still struggling with my simple path." I made air quotes. "Let them think that." My phone rang. Haley this time. "Turn on your mom's Facebook Live," she said without greeting. "You need to see this." I pulled it up. Mom was hosting one of her success strategy sessions for her social media followers. The camera panned to show her perfect living room, her perfect outfit, her perfect smile. "And yes, parenting is about tough choices," she was saying. "Sometimes you have to make difficult decisions for the greater good. Take my daughters. One needed a push toward excellence, while the other—" She paused dramatically. "Well, sometimes struggling builds character." Jarvis cursed under his breath. "Are you hearing this?" Haley demanded. "Oh, I'm hearing it." I watched the likes and hearts float across the screen. "And I'm saving it." A comment popped up. "You're such an inspiration. Wish you were my mom." "Keep watching," Haley said. "It gets better." Mom's voice continued. "In fact, I'm writing a book about strategic parenting. About knowing when to invest and when to step back. When to nurture potential and when to let natural consequences teach their lessons." "She's monetizing it," I said flatly. "She's actually monetizing what they did to me." The doorbell rang in Jarvis's apartment. He returned with an older man I recognized, Abel Wade, my parents' financial advisor. "Sorry to interrupt," Abel said, "but I thought you should have these." He handed me a folder. "Copies of some interesting transactions I've noticed lately." I opened it. Inside were records of money movements between accounts, large sums flowing from my parents' to Charlie's accounts, then disappearing into what looked like risky investments. "They're burning through their retirement fund," Abel said quietly, "trying to maintain appearances, and they're starting to ask questions about your grandmother's trust fund." My grandmother Louisa's words from years ago echoed in my head. "Keep your eyes open, little one. Not everything that glitters is gold." "Thank you," I told Abel. "This helps." After he left, Jarvis looked at me. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking we need to accelerate our timeline." I pulled out my laptop. "How fast can we get the beta version ready?" 2 weeks, maybe less with overtime." "Do it. I'll cover the extra hours." I showed him my personal accounts, the careful savings, the small but growing investments. "We need to launch before they burn everything down." My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. "Noelle, it's grandmother. Call me when you can, privately." "The pieces are moving," Jarvis observed. "Yeah." I stood up, gathering my things. "And so are we." That night, I called Louisa from my car. "I've been watching," she said without preamble. You're planning something? Yes. Good. Her voice was steel. They forgot something important, you know. About that trust fund they're eyeing. What's that? I made you the executor. Not them. Not Charlie. You. I sat there, stunned. Just thought you should know, she continued. For when the time comes. After we hung up, I drove to the office Jarvis and I had secretly leased. The sign wasn't up yet, but our company existed on paper. 6 months of working through lunch breaks, of coding until dawn, of building something they'd never expect. My phone lit up with another group text. Mom, don't forget Sunday dinner. Big announcements coming. Charlie, can't wait to share my business school journey. Everyone will be so inspired. I smiled, thinking of our app's upcoming launch, of the clients already lined up, of the carefully documented paper trail of my parents' financial decisions. Oh, I wouldn't miss it, I texted back. I have some announcements of my own. Then I turned off my phone and got back to work. The best revenge, after all, is served one calculated step at a time. Your app just hit 10,000 downloads, Haley announced, bursting into our office, and Kelly's coffee shop chain wants to expand the contract. I looked up from my laptop, where I'd been reviewing the latest numbers. 1 year of silent grinding had turned into something bigger than even I'd imagined. Have you seen this? Jarvis called from his desk, turning his monitor toward me. On the screen was Charlie's latest Instagram post, a tearful selfie in her luxury apartment. Had to make the hardest decision today. Saying goodbye to my dream penthouse. But sometimes life has other plans. Stay tuned for my next chapter. Blessed, or hustling, or never give up. My phone rang. Mom's familiar ringtone. Here we go, I muttered, putting it on speaker. Noelle, thank goodness you answered. Mom's voice was frantic. We have a situation with Charlie. Let me guess, I cut in. She can't afford her apartment anymore? It's temporary, Mom insisted. Just until her MBA starts paying off. We thought since you're doing so, stable now, maybe you could help? Family has to stick together. I caught Haley rolling her eyes. Actually, I said, I'm a bit tied up with work right now. Work? Mom scoffed. At that little coffee shop? Surely you can… I have to go. I have a meeting. I hung up as Jarvis walked over with a document. Speaking of meetings, he said, the beach house listing just came through. I took the paper, studying the familiar address, my parents' dream retirement property, the one they'd been eyeing for years. They can't afford it anymore, I said, scanning the price. Not with Charlie's debts. No, Jarvis agreed, but we can. 3 hours later, I sat in a real estate office signing the final papers. The beach house was mine, purchased through a shell company, of course. Your parents called again, Haley reported when I returned. Twice, and Charlie's been posting cryptic quotes about toxic success culture and the truth about privilege. Show me. She pulled up Charlie's stories, a series of perfectly filtered photos with captions about revealing her authentic journey and exposing the dark side of pressure to succeed. She's trying to rebrand her failure, Jarvis observed, turn it into content. While asking me to bail her out, I added. Classic. My phone buzzed with a text from Abel. Your parents just tried to access Louisa's trust fund. I stalled them, but they're getting desperate. Another notification popped up, an email from Mom. Darling, we're hosting a retirement announcement party next month. Your father and I have exciting plans to share. We're counting on our girls to help launch our next chapter. Haley read over my shoulder. They're retiring? Now? They think they can, I said, opening our company's financial reports. They don't know their safety net is gone. Our app's success had been carefully hidden behind corporate structures and NDAs. As far as my family knew, I was still working entry-level jobs, living paycheck to paycheck. The timing's perfect, Jarvis said quietly. Everything's in place. I nodded, pulling up a document I'd been preparing for months. The title read, Financial Reconciliation and Repayment Agreement. Send the RSVP, I told Haley. Tell them I wouldn't miss it for the world. My phone lit up again. Grandmother Louisa. I heard about the beach house, she said when I answered. Clever girl. You taught me to play the long game. They're planning to announce their retirement at the party, she continued. Your mother's already talking about writing a book about strategic family planning or some nonsense. I know. What are you going to do? I looked at the agreement on my screen, at the carefully calculated figures representing years of stolen opportunities. I'm going to give them exactly what they want, I said. A very public family moment. After hanging up, I opened my email to find a message from our app's biggest investor yet, a national restaurant chain wanting to implement our system. Holy shit, Jarvis breathed, reading the numbers. This is it. We're about to go big. Perfect timing, I said, saving the email. Right before their party. Haley perched on my desk. Are you ready for this? Once you do it, there's no going back. I thought about Mom's social media empire built on my struggles, about Dad's cold dismissal of my potential, about Charlie's endless demands for support while posting about her blessed life. They wanted me to be practical, I said, starting to type my response to the investor. So I practically built an empire while they weren't looking. And now? I smiled, thinking of the beach house keys in my drawer, of the agreement waiting to be served, of the carefully orchestrated revelation to come. Now they get to see exactly what their simple daughter can do. The guest list is over 200 people, Haley reported, scrolling through Mom's event page. She's invited every social media connection she has. Of course she has. I adjusted my blazer in the mirror. The retirement party was 2 days away and final preparations were underway. It's not real unless it's public. My phone buzzed. Charlie calling for the 3rd time today. I let it go to voicemail. She's getting desperate, Jarvis noted, not looking up from his laptop. The eviction notice must have arrived. The door opened and Abel walked in, carrying a thick folder. You need to see this. They've started liquidating assets. I took the folder, scanning the documents. Investment accounts drained, credit cards maxed out, loans taken against their house. They're throwing everything they have into this party, Abel said. Your mother's convinced her strategic parenting book deal will save them. While Charlie's MBA is bleeding them dry, I added. Perfect storm. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. Darling, we need to discuss your role in the retirement announcement. Your father and I have such wonderful plans for the family's future. Haley snorted. They still think you're their backup plan. Not for long. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out the final version of the agreement. Everything's ready? Jarvis nodded. The press release about our company's national expansion is scheduled for an hour before the party. Trading should start right as you're serving them the papers. And I've got the PowerPoint ready, Haley added with a wicked grin. Complete with all those lovely social media screenshots. My phone rang again. Grandmother Louisa this time. They're at my house, she said without preamble, trying to convince me to sign over the trust fund early. What did you tell them? That I'd think about it. She paused. They're planning something big at this party, Noelle. Your mother's already talking about passing the torch to you girls. Let them plan. I looked at the beach house deed sitting on my desk. Everything's taken care of. After hanging up, I checked my email. The national restaurant chain had confirmed their 8-figure contract. Our app was about to become industry standard. Incoming drama, Haley warned, holding up her phone. Charlie was live on Instagram, mascara running artistically down her cheeks. And sometimes we have to be vulnerable, she was saying. Success isn't what it looks like on social media. That's why I'm launching my new coaching program, Authentic Failure, the New Success Story. She's trying to monetize her downfall, Jarvis observed, smart in a desperate sort of way. My office door burst open. Charlie herself stood there, designer bag hanging limply from her arm. Why aren't you answering my calls? She demanded. I need you. I'm working, I said calmly. Some of us have to. She looked around the office, taking in the modern furniture, the wall of awards, the staff beyond the glass doors. What is this place? Why are you in an executive office? Because I'm an executive. Her eyes narrowed. No, you work at coffee shops. Mom says a lot of things. I stood up. What do you want, Charlie? I need help with the rent, just until my coaching business takes off. She pulled out her phone. Look, I already have 50 followers interested in my course about overcoming privilege. Overcoming privilege? I couldn't help laughing. You mean the privilege of stealing my college fund? Her face fell. That was years ago. Why can't you let it go? We're family. Family? I picked up the agreement from my desk. Funny you should mention that. What's that? Something for the party. I smiled. You are coming, right? To support Mom and Dad's retirement? She shifted uncomfortably. About that? They're kind of counting on us to help them transition. Mostly you, since you're so practical. Oh, I'll help them transition all right. I sat back down. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a company to run. But my rent? Try selling your designer bags. I turned to my computer. I hear authenticity is trending. After she left, Haley whistled low. That was cold. That was practice, I corrected, pulling up the party details. The real show starts in 2 days. My phone buzzed one last time. Mom again. Darling, don't forget to dress professionally for the party. We're announcing some major changes and we need you looking your best. Can't wait to share our vision for the family's future. I looked at my team, at the empire we'd built in silence, at the carefully laid plans about to unfold. Oh, I'll dress professionally, I murmured. Very professionally indeed. The country club ballroom buzzed with excitement. Mom had outdone herself. Crystal centerpieces, champagne towers, a professional photographer documenting every moment. Their retirement party looked like a wedding, complete with a stage for announcements. Ready? Jarvis squeezed my hand under the table. Born ready. I checked my phone. Our company's press release had just gone live, and business news sites were already picking it up. Haley slid into the seat beside me. Your sister's having a meltdown in the bathroom. Something about her credit cards being declined at the salon. Ladies and gentlemen, Dad's voice boomed through the microphone. Thank you all for coming to celebrate this milestone with our family. Mom joined him on stage, radiant in an expensive new dress. We have some exciting announcements to share about the next chapter of our lives. I watched them work the crowd, dropping hints about their upcoming plans. Mom's book deal, Dad's consulting ventures, their dreams of traveling the world while their successful daughters carried on their legacy. And now, Mom gushed, we'd like to invite our girls up here. Charlie, Noelle, please join us. Charlie emerged from the bathroom, makeup hastily fixed, and practically ran to the stage. I took my time, straightening my designer suit, the first one I'd ever bought myself. Our daughters represent everything we've worked for, Dad announced proudly. Through strategic parenting and careful investment in their futures, we've created a legacy that will... About that investment, I cut in, taking the microphone. Let's talk numbers, shall we? The room went quiet. Mom's smile froze. Noelle, she warned quietly, this isn't the time. Actually, it's exactly the time. I nodded to Haley, who started the PowerPoint. Let's begin with my college fund, $200,000, redirected to Charlie's luxury apartment without my knowledge or consent. The first slide showed the transfer documents. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Then there's the years of family emergencies that somehow always coincided with Charlie's shopping sprees. More slides appeared, the Instagram posts next to bank statements. Not to mention Mom's social media empire, built on marketing my struggles as character building while hiding the truth. That's enough. Dad tried to grab the microphone, but I held firm. Oh, I'm just getting started. I pulled out the agreement. This documents every penny you took from me, every opportunity you stole, every lie you told. And now? I want it all back. You ungrateful, Mom began, but stopped as the next slide appeared. It was our company's press release. The headline read, "Coffee Shop Management App Goes National, Young CEO's Success Story." While you were investing in Charlie's potential, I continued, I was building something real, something that just signed an 8-figure contract. The crowd murmured. Phones came out as people pulled up the news. And that beach house you've been dreaming of? I produced the deed. I bought it last week, cash offer. Charlie stumbled backward. But you work in coffee shops. I own the software that runs them. I turned to face the audience. My parents taught me something valuable after all, how to recognize a good investment. And right now, they're a bad one. We're your parents, Mom's voice cracked. Everything we did was for this family. No. I handed them the agreement. Everything you did was for appearances, and now the bill is due. Dad scanned the document, his face paling. These numbers, this is ridiculous. It's actually quite reasonable. Abel's voice came from the crowd. I helped calculate the interest. You have 24 hours to sign, I said calmly. Or I release everything, every document, every message, every manipulative post to your entire social network. I'm sure your followers would love to know the truth behind your strategic parenting success story. You wouldn't dare, Mom whispered. I smiled. Try me. The room erupted in whispers. Phones flashed as people captured the moment. Mom's carefully curated image crumbled in real time. By the way, I added, Grandmother Louisa says hello. She's quite impressed with how I've managed her trust fund. You know, the one you've been trying to access? Charlie burst into tears, running from the stage. Mom followed, calling her name. Dad stood there, agreement in hand, looking suddenly old. The papers will be at your house tomorrow, I said, straightening my jacket. Don't make me wait. As I walked off stage, Haley and Jarvis fell in beside me. The crowd parted, phones still recording. Was it worth it? Jarvis asked quietly. I looked back at the chaos we'd left behind, the shattered facade, the exposed lies, the years of manipulation finally brought to light. Ask me tomorrow, I said, heading for the door. Right now, I have a beach house to visit. The beach house deck creaked under my feet as I sipped my morning coffee. Dawn painted the ocean pink, and the salty breeze carried away the last whispers of yesterday's storm. My phone buzzed. Haley sending a screenshot of Mom's latest social media post. Taking a step back from public life to focus on family healing. Sometimes our greatest teachings come from our greatest mistakes. Jacques humbled Chaka reflection. She's still trying to spin it, Haley texted, but her followers aren't buying it anymore. The screen lit up with another message. Abel. They've signed everything. The transfer is complete. I set my phone down and breathed in the ocean air. The money didn't matter anymore. It never really did. What mattered was the truth, finally seeing daylight. The sliding door opened behind me. Jarvis emerged with 2 fresh coffees, handing me one. Charlie's launching her new brand, he said, called it Authentic Aftermath, coaching for people dealing with family financial trauma. I couldn't help but laugh. At least she's finally being honest about something. Your grandmother's here, he added. Just pulled up. Louisa appeared moments later, moving slowly but deliberately toward the deck chairs. Nice place, she said, settling in. Worth every penny of that trust fund I helped you protect. Thank you, I said quietly, for seeing what was happening all those years ago. I saw you, child, that's all. She patted my hand. Someone had to. My phone rang, Dad's number. I let it go to voicemail. They're selling the house, Louisa informed me, moving into something more modest after the repayment cleared. And Mom's book deal? Cancelled, but she's already pitching a new one. Healing from Perfection, or some such nonsense. The sun climbed higher, turning the water to diamonds. Below the deck, early morning surfers dotted the waves like black dots on blue paper. You know, Louisa said. Revenge is like salt water. It feels cleansing, but drink too much and it'll poison you. I'm not drinking it anymore, I replied. I'm just swimming in it. The door slid open again. Haley this time, tablet in hand. The app just hit 1 million active users, she announced. And Kelly's original coffee shop wants to do a feature story about how it all started. Full circle, Jarvis mused. My phone buzzed with a text from Charlie. I get it now. What we did to you, what they did. I'm sorry. I showed it to Louisa, who nodded slowly. First honest thing that girl's said in years. Maybe losing everything wasn't the worst thing for her, I said. Or for them, Louisa added. Your parents needed this wake-up call, even if they're still hitting snooze. A notification popped up. Mom had tagged me in a post. A throwback photo of us at my high school graduation, before everything fell apart. Her caption read, To my firstborn. I'm sorry we couldn't see your worth. I'm sorry we confused investment with love. Some debts can never be repaid, but I hope someday you'll let us try. Regret. Truth. Progress, Louisa observed. Small, but real. Too little, too late? Haley asked gently. I thought about the years of struggle, of invisible victories and silent achievements, of building something from nothing while they built nothing from everything. No, I said finally, just too little for now. Jarvis squeezed my shoulder. The company needs a new headquarters soon. Beachfront office space would be nice. Perfect view for watching the tide change, Louisa agreed. My phone lit up one last time. A message from Abel. Your parents asked me to tell you they're starting therapy. Real therapy, not social media therapy. Thought you should know. The morning sun warmed my face as I typed back. Good. They'll need it. What now? Haley asked, settling into a deck chair. I looked at my chosen family gathered around me. Haley's unwavering support, Jarvis's quiet strength, Louisa's sharp wisdom. At the empire we'd built while others weren't looking. At the truth we'd exposed to the light. Now? I smiled, raising my coffee cup. Now we succeed. Loudly. They lifted their cups in return, and the morning light caught the moment like a photograph. Not filtered, not staged, just real. As the sun climbed higher, I felt the last weight of the past slide off my shoulders, carried away by the tide. Some debts can never be repaid, but some victories don't need to be. Sometimes winning isn't about getting even. It's about getting free. And I was finally, completely free.